What's going on, guys? So I am going to do a really cool upgrade to my truck that a lot of people may not understand at first, because when you look at what's in front of me, you automatically think, well, this is a breakaway kit for a trailer. And you'd be correct. This is essentially the kit that you would install on a trailer to have your trailer brakes lock up in the event that it gets disconnected from your truck. Basically, this little pin pops out and your brakes will lock up using this small sealed AGM battery in this little case. Well, I found a completely different use for this. If you guys remember, I recently changed out my toolbox from a WeatherGuard toolbox to a better built SLE toolbox, which has some lighting, has some LED lighting on the inside and the outside. And right now that lighting is connected to an upfitter switch, so I have to turn on my upfitter switch in order to use the lighting inside of the toolbox on my truck. And I really didn't like that setup. So we're going to use this in a completely unconventional way, and hopefully it'll work out the way I want it to. So hang tight, I'll be right back. Alright guys, so this is the Curt 52042 Breakaway Kit. Side load, push to test breakaway kit, which is really cool. It has an AGM battery inside of here. It has the ability for you to see specifically how charged the battery is, and you can see it's fully charged by pressing that button. It mounts from the side, which is really nice and convenient, and here are all your wires leading away from it. So what I'm going to use this for is to power the LED lights on my toolbox, both the interior and the exterior lights. I'm going to find a way to attach this because it is side mountable. I can really put it anywhere. I could even kind of put it downwards like this towards the bed rug and have it attached to that just so it doesn't slide around, which is all I'm really interested in. I will not need to use this. However, the breakaway on the RV is getting a little old, so I will probably replace the fifth wheel's breakaway switch with this one, and I have a brand new one. So I'll be repurposing all of this stuff for a completely different use other than this piece right here, but it's all going to start with getting this thing mounted up and running my wires. So let's get started with that. Be right back. Okay, so what I've done here is I've removed the red wire. So I had a red, white, and blue wire. The red wire is a wire that only sees power whenever you have it connected to the breakaway and the breakaway is pulled. So in this case, the blue wire and the white wire are the only ones I'm going to use. The white wire is my ground wire, and the blue wire is going to be my hot wire. And I already tested both of these with a voltmeter to make sure that that's the case. I'll still have the ability to see how charged my battery is, and I'll be able to use this essentially as a small little battery kit. And I'm going to use this again to power the lighting. So this should work out really well for me, and I can actually take this out and charge it separately whenever it dies. But I don't anticipate it's going to die very quickly, simply because I don't keep my toolbox open for any long period of time, and whenever it is open, the LED lighting that's going to be turned on draws very, very little current. So I'm not going to have to worry really about this ever causing an excessive draw on the battery system. So next thing we need to do is get this mounted and get this wired into the current wiring going to the lighting inside of the toolbox. All right, guys, so when evaluating where to put this, we thought about attaching it to the side of the toolbox, attaching it to the side of my truck, and you guys probably know already I have no problem drilling holes through my truck. Right here would have been the ideal location. Right here, it could have rubbed against this tube when this area gets kind of hot sometimes, so the last thing you want is a battery next to a heat source like that, even though it probably wouldn't have affected it very much. I could mount it under the bottom here, but then my brother slapped me on the shoulder and said, why don't you just use Velcro? So we have this industrial, or whatever they call this, extreme outdoor Velcro, and because I have this carpet material in the bed of the truck, it'll just attach itself there, and we can just put the battery pack over here or towards the back and not have to worry about it moving unless I decide to take the truck drifting, which I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think I have the right tire set up for it. Anyways, guys, let's throw some Velcro on this thing and see how it works. So first of all, we want to make sure this stuff sticks, and as my brother just pointed out,
it's got a Bluetooth speaker hanging from a brick wall.
I think
and
we'll be
it also
okay.
is rated up to 15 pounds, and this thing here weighs maybe a pound.
Plus, it's going to be putting force against it anyways, and yeah, this stuff's going to work out real well. I mean, check that out. So trying to slide this ain't going to happen. So we're just going to adhere it here, and I happen to have an alcohol wipe right here. It's weird. Every time I'm looking for an alcohol wipe at some point in my past or while I was sleepwalking, I must have positioned these things everywhere out through my life because there just happened to be one about 3 inches away from my head. But we're going to wipe the bottom of this down, put this adhesive here, probably like that. And we're going to adhere it to the access bed mat. That's what this is. This is kind of like a foam carpet material. You can see it here. It's kind of like a bed rug, a little bit different. I really didn't need the full bed rug because I have a spray and bed liner that was on the truck when I got it. So this is just to add some cushioning to the back. Comes in very handy. We're going to apply some of this Velcro adhesive here. We're going to take a second piece, put it here. May even take a third piece and put it there just for peace of mind.
Just in case you do go drifting.
Yeah. You don't want the judges saying, hey, you're disqualified because your AGM battery you have connected to your LED lights in your toolbox was bouncing around in the back. Don't want to go through that again. And then I will disconnect the wire here, plug it in, we'll be good to go.
I think you're set.
Well, looks like we're good. So we are going to put this right there, but let me fix all this wiring right here. What you may not know is before on my WeatherGuard toolbox, I installed a 12-volt outlet on the back of the toolbox so I could plug in anything that requires a 12-volt cigarette style adapter. And that's what this cable is right here. This is that marine water, gas, oil, UV protected cable that I had going to it. When I got this new toolbox installed, I already had the cable running back here, so I simply attached it to the wire and hooked up the lights inside. But in order to turn this LED light on, as well as the one inside of the toolbox, I have to flip the upfitter switch, and then I have to actually open up the toolbox to trigger this pin switch right here. And that pin switch is what turns the light on. So what I don't want to have to do is flip the upfitter switch because the truck has to be running when I flip that upfitter switch. What this is going to give me the ability to do is simply provide power to both those lights just by opening the toolbox, regardless of if the truck's running or not. So if I'm just running out to grab something from the toolbox, I don't have to worry about having to keep the truck running with the upfitter switch on. And that upfitter switch that I have now is connected to the 12-volt outlet that I installed at the back corner of my tailgate, where I think is more practical and where I think it's going to be more useful in connecting 12-volt accessories. So next step, we're going to splice into that and heat shrink all the connections. Okay, so we have the negative connection connected here, and if I hook up this positive connection, you'll see that the light comes on. Well, there we go. So this is my positive, that's my negative. This is the wiring that I put in place going to the lights inside of the toolbox and the one on the back here. And it all is triggered by this pin switch right here. So
you connect this and
you connect that up.
Switch.
If I push the pin switch down, the light turns off.
You've also got a light inside the toolbox.
Yep, got two lights. One on the side here, you can see it on my hand. Okay, so we have everything tucked away here. This is nice and secured. I mean, that Velcro is not coming loose. All the wires are connected. Everything's spliced in place. I have to move that little mounting tab. It was right here, but it came off. Anyways, I need to get some split loom on the wiring just to cover it up a bit. But as you can see, everything is nice and tucked out of the way. It's pretty much at the same profile sticking out this way as my Vi-Air air compressor is. So I don't really have to worry about it, you know, really breaking loose or anything hitting it inside of here. It takes up very little room. As you can see, it's working perfectly. Push the switch on the inside on and off. Lights go on and off. From here, you can see the reflection right there of the light. Everything turns on and off correctly here as well. It is really cool. This is going to be a very, very convenient setup. I can always check to see how charged it is by pressing the button right there. It's fully charged currently. And I really don't think there's any situation where these lights are going to be on long enough to discharge the battery completely. So it's going to be a pretty nice setup. It's a sealed AGM battery inside of a protected case, Velcroed to the floor of the truck. that's pretty much what I needed done, and it got all set up well. Anyways, guys, I ordered this from eTrailer, so I'll provide the part number and the link to that product if that's something you might be interested in. There are all sorts of different applications for things that you might think might be specific to one thing. Like this, again, is designed for an emergency trailer breakaway, and I'm using it as a 12-volt AGM battery to power the lighting in my toolbox. It's relatively inexpensive, and to get it all connected took maybe 20 minutes, if that. And it's really just finding out where you want to place it. You might have other things in your vehicle you want to power. You might have a 12-volt socket or something in the back, maybe a light that you want to put in place, bed lighting that you don't want to have to run all the way to the front of the truck, and something that's not going to be on long enough to really discharge a battery that much. This is probably pulling less than a 1/4 amp. So this is going to give me a lot of flexibility. At the same time, I don't have to have an upfitter switch on, so it's going to provide me a lot of convenience as well. And that was the main reason for an upgrade like this. I love getting stuff from eTrailer. They are a sponsor of my channel, so they did provide this to me. And I definitely want to give them a big shout out because they have so many cool things that you might not normally think about when it comes to towing, when it comes to trailer upgrades, safety, truck accessories, all of that. So again, guys, I will put a link in the description of the video if that is something you might be interested in. And hopefully this thing is going to provide me a lot of usage, and I will give you an update on just how long that battery's lasting. If I've had it in here a year and the lights still come on and I haven't had to charge it, that would be great. If I just have to pull it out once every couple of months to throw on the workbench and charge up, I'm fine with that as well. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.